Thought I'd seen it all before. A world of trouble knocking at my door. But this ain't like nothing that I recall.
So Colm McLoughlin, it's very nice to see you again today. It's almost 2 months, Colm, can you believe it, since we last spoke on, I think it was our inaugural podcast in this series. And of course, much has changed in Dubai since in travel retail industry and in our world. Could we just start, Colm, if you don't mind, with an update on what has subsequently ensued for Dubai Duty Free and that journey that you and your team have been on since, that very unexpected journey?
Well, of course, since the end of the end of March, the Dubai Duty Free was closed completely and the airport was closed, and slowly things are reopening. Dubai Duty Free reopened Concourse B about 2 weeks ago, and we're servicing any passengers that are coming there. And then last week we opened Terminal 2, and we're servicing any passengers that are coming there. Of course, the business in comparison to what our normal expectations would be is minimal. And cumulatively right now, our sales for the year are down 56% on last year. And yesterday we had quite a good day, and we took 600,000 dirhams sales. And any good day last year, we used to take 20 million dirham sales in one day, which means our business is down 56% on last year.
Yes, Colm, it's a huge drop, isn't it? Just before we talk about the business and this gradual startup, just roll us back, if you will, over those last couple of months. I mean, just how tough has it been for Dubai Duty Free as an organization, as a leader, and your management team, and for your team indeed? This process of a business that was the world's best and biggest coming to an abrupt halt in an astonishingly short period of time.
Absolutely. And of course, we all expected that it would have long since finished, but it continues to go on. We've had in excess of 3,500 of our staff tested for coronavirus. We have had 240 cases positive of our staff, and fortunately nobody has been serious, if you like, and we're now down to 24 people who are in isolation. We're controlling it as well as we can. And for the opening of our duty frees, we have introduced many different things which have been approved by the disaster committee, if you like, of the UAE. You know, we have distancing and control. We have a different queue system. We have one customer, one trolley sort of thing, which in itself ensures the proper distancing. We have hand sanitization everywhere available. All our staff are wearing masks. We have a situation in place where if a customer wants things selected and picked, our staff will do it for them. And all our staff are cooperating very well. We have been paying all our staff since we started, and hopefully we will be able to look after them very well. We now have 5,900 staff, and it looks like with the forecast we have got on traffic that our sales at the end of the year will end up at about the 2004 level.
Gosh, that's some number, isn't it? Back 16 years, rolling back the clock 16 years.
Rolling back, yeah. There are indications, you know, the flights that are coming through. We had about 40 flights yesterday. There are dates set where Emirates are going to launch other flights and other airlines are going to launch further flights. So by the end of July, instead of 40-something flights, we would expect several hundred flights per day. And that, of course, will pick our business up somewhat. It may mean opening an additional concourse, like Concourse C, for example, which isn't being used at the moment.
Yeah.
Right now, of the concourses, Concourse A is not being used. We have reopened Concourse B. Concourse C is not being used. Concourse D is not being used. And last week we opened Terminal 2.
Okay. Now let's just turn to the staff a moment. I think you said the number was 5,900 people, and you've retained all those staff. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
All right. And some of them, of course, have been infected, as you said. How difficult a task has it been to manage that, manage the fact that some of your staff were infected with this disease, this very virulent disease, managing it from an accommodation point of view, a health, a staffing, a logistics, a human resource perspective? I can only imagine it's been extremely demanding.
It's been difficult. Our management team are doing a fantastic job. Our HR team are in control of this all the time. We, Dubai Duty Free, own 715 apartments where a lot of our staff live. And from the point of view of isolation, we are assigning, we have a group of apartments assigned specially for isolation, and that's what we have been doing. We had one case only, which was a serious case, being on ventilator and things like that for a long time. And he has now been proven negative and has been released. And we're very happy about that, of course. And as I say, the number of staff that were identified, 240-ish, is now down to 20 people in isolation. Everybody is joining together, and everybody has been very positive, and everybody obeying the rules. When we have meetings, we have these, which we use all the time. We have these, which we use all the time. Yeah. So we're obeying the rules very much, and of course, that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's a matter not just of personal safety, of course, but of being responsible for the safety of others. And I know that's a message that you have proclaimed from the top and from your management team very strongly. But you anticipated there my next question, Colm, which was really, how difficult has it been to maintain morale? Yourself, your management, your team are so used to running this hugely successful mega operation, and now it stops. Got to be difficult just in terms of an adjustment of mindset and keeping the spirits up and trying to convey to your team that better times will come.
Well, we have regular communication, of course, and we're still having weekly meetings of our senior team. We are communicating with the staff all the time. We have a website, which is My DDF, and we have sent messages from all of us onto that. And we are listening to any proposals our staff are making and examining them and seeing what we can do. It has been a difficult job, but at the same time, we're all learning every day of something that we missed, that we should have dealt with. But the morale, I would say, is pretty good. Naturally, people are worried about their future and so on. And we're addressing each particular case individually as they come up.
Okay. Now, Colm, I read that the UAE government had said that Emiratis and residents of the UAE will be allowed to travel abroad from June 23 to some destinations under some conditions and procedures. And I think they're still to be announced. But that's got to come as a boost, doesn't it, to the people, certainly of Dubai, but to you and your team?
That will be a boost, absolutely. You know, at present, all the flights are repatriation flights, and there are no visitors, tourists, anything like that at the moment. One of the rules that the government have introduced is that they will allow people to travel to other destinations, providing the other destination agrees, and Dubai will comply with the requirements of those destinations, some of which that passengers must be tested before they go and so on. And we're waiting and looking forward to further destinations being opened up, of course. And as I said earlier, the Emirates have announced that what was 30 flights, we will have, by the middle of August, middle of July, we will have perhaps 590 flights some days as opposed to 40 now.
Yes, and we shouldn't forget, of course, Colm, when we talk about 2004 levels of business. That seems a shock, but of course, 2004 you did a lot of business. You're a very successful business. That will still mean Dubai Duty Free is generating a lot of sales between January 1 and December 31st this year, and it's, I suppose, the beginnings of a return to some kind of normality. So every passenger and every sale, I suppose, is to be valued more than ever right now.
It's valued more than ever, absolutely. And the whole thing, of course, is flights and the number of passengers. We had through Dubai Airport last year 89 million passengers. The estimate for this year is 25 million passengers. And most of those have passed through already. So for the remainder of this year, all we can do is expect that we somehow increase the sale per head as we're going through, offering special offers. And in the last week, we introduced a home delivery service in Dubai. We've had 47,000 hits onto that so far. We've only been going 1 week. We have done an agreement with the customs in Dubai. We're allowed to do this with the exception of liquor and tobacco. As I say, we had 47,000 hits. And yesterday, for example, we had home delivery sales of 100,000 dirhams. 100,000 dirhams is $28,000 US. And we're hoping that will grow. And we have a limited number of products on there, of course, but we're in the test area of it, and it's proving very successful.
Yeah, it's interesting talking to some of your peers around the world, Colm, in terms of how they're also quickly embracing the e-commerce side of things. They, like you, would have already had some omni-channel activities, but they're probably accelerating its development. Would that be fair to say also of Dubai Duty Free?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've had for a long time a system in place called click and collect, which somebody can order before they travel and collect when they travel. And we still have that in operation. But our business of selling to local residents and having home delivery is completely new. We're delighted that the customs have agreed with us that we can do it, and we're going to develop it more and more.
Okay. Colm, I want to ask you about the experience that consumers are seeing as they go through the airport and go through your stores, hopefully, in this COVID-19 era and hopefully post the COVID-19 era. You mentioned a little bit earlier about staff wearing masks, etc. You've got the tough task of helping to safeguard your staff on one hand, but also shoppers, of giving shoppers reassurance. How are you setting about doing that? And if I come through Dubai Duty Free soon, what am I going to see? And what's the experience going to be like?
Well, first of all, you'll see all our staff with masks.
Yep.
You will see trolleys available in various places that they were not available before. You will see floor markings everywhere where we have formed queues where entrance into otherwise open shops. We have barriers at front of it, so the passenger has to follow a certain line. There are 2-meter spaces marked on the floor everywhere you go. So you will see that as a difference. You will see, as I say, staff available as kind of ushers that are helping passengers. You will find them pointing out various things, answering questions from a distance. And if somebody says, I would like you to get me, for example, 400 Benson Hedges cigarettes, our staff will do that, and they will pack them for the customer, and they will escort them from a distance to the register and finish the sale. The systems we have set up have been adjudged by the disaster committee as one of the best I've seen. And I'm happy to say that they're now using the setup of Dubai Duty Free as a requirement for other organizations. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, Colm, any feedback you can share on how consumers are actually behaving since they've started traveling in these relatively small numbers through the airport? Are they tending to kind of play particularly safe, stay away from human contact, or are they going into the shop and browsing as they would have before?
They're going into the shop and browsing, but under the control of our rules. In other words, distancing, certain entrances, certain exits, and we have ushers ensuring that happens. So it's a little bit different, but the customers are very happy about it.
Yeah, and I guess
feedback we have been getting.
Okay, Colm, and I guess you were always very, very strong on staff training. That's a fundamental tenet of Dubai Duty Free's strength down the years. I guess this is a kind of training that your team never thought they'd do, but it's become absolutely paramount for sure, I suspect.
And it's an essential part of our reopenings of various things. Yeah. And, you know, all our staff are in full support of it. They're very enthusiastic about it. They want to be part and parcel of our re-success, if you like. And we have absolutely no problem in whatever we want to introduce in having it done.
I like that term, re-success, Colm. And it evokes confidence as well, which I think everybody needs a shot of at the moment. Colm, I want to get a bit personal now, just in terms of you as a leader. I've spoken to you informally many times, of course, since our last formal chat. And often when we've had those chats, you're sitting exactly where you are now, which is in your office at headquarters. Tell us about your day-to-day life during this period. You always like to lead from the front. You are always there on site, either at HQ, down at the airport. How difficult has this been for you? How frustrating has it been for a man that's always on the go like you?
Well, I have to say, of course, it's very frustrating. I'm in my office in headquarters now, but headquarters is closed. And we have security systems coming in and going out. For a while, we were all working from home, and there's still a certain amount of working from home if it's necessary. But what I call our dream team, our executive team, they're in their offices every day. We have our weekly dream team meeting, but of course we have a lot of telephone stuff as well and webinar stuff that's going on. And it's difficult to pinpoint everything that you have to do new that you weren't doing before. But the support is terrific. And the freedom we have always given to our senior team to do things, that hasn't dried up by any means. And I find the support from them 100%. It's absolutely terrific. And I find the support from my boss, His Highness Sheikh Ahmed, absolutely terrific also. And, you know, he also has all the airport to worry about and all Emirates Airlines and Fly Dubai and several other organizations that he's the chair of. And it's great inspiration for us to see how he's attending his duties every single day.
Colm, just looking forward now, I was speaking to some of your peers this week, particularly to Dufry actually yesterday, and of course they've been hit globally. Normally their global diversity would be a defense in a situation like this, but in the face of a global pandemic, of course it ceases to be. But they were certainly more optimistic yesterday and over the past few days. Businesses starting to pick up. Airlines are flying, borders are opening. It's all slowly, but it's happening. Some sense of optimism at last. How are you feeling about prospects today?
We're feeling very optimistic as well. You know, if you look, I keep on saying about the flights. You know, by the beginning of August, we are expecting 900 flights per week to be going through Dubai Airport. That compares with 40 flights per week. Or sorry, more than 40, 200. We're optimistic about it. I read and heard your interview with Julian Diaz from Dufry, and it was very positive, I thought, and a lot of the in-crisis interviews I've heard were indeed so. But I don't think there's any alternative. I don't think we should sit back and be pessimistic about everything. And there have been problems before all over different operations, and they have been overcome. And I think it will be the same with this. It is going on a little bit longer than we had anticipated 2 months ago, but the indications around the world are that it's all improving. We keep on reading about a second phase of a pandemic, and of course, I have no idea whether that's going to happen or not. But I do know in the case of the United Arab Emirates, cases per day are reducing considerably. The number of deaths are not unexpected, but they're not huge. And of course, it's sad that there are any, but the whole thing is being managed very, very well. And I would say as a team, looking a couple of months down the road, we are very optimistic about the whole thing.
Just before we close, Colm, I just wanted to mention that beautiful presentation done by some of your team, the Nightingales. I think they're the DDF Nightingales. I might have got that slightly wrong, but they did that beautiful song, You Raised Me Up, and they did it all by Zoom, which must have been incredibly difficult to coordinate notes and words, and they did it magnificently. You must have been very proud of that. We will show that video, of course, when we run this interview, but you must have been very proud of that indeed.
I was thrilled with it. And, Sinead from the marketing department spoke with the Nightingales. The Nightingales have been going for a number of years. And over the past years, on 3 different occasions, they have won the Corporate Choir Award in the Middle East. And we felt they're well able to do something. And I was delighted, in fact, that it was featured in the Moodie Report. I was delighted that it received one of the accolades. And of course, from the point of view of all our staff, it's very encouraging and it's motivating when something like that happens. And there is no outside help whatsoever. It is all done in-house by our staff. And I'm very, very proud of them. And I'm very happy for them also.
Rightly so. Well, just to close then, Colm, you are the modern day statesman of our industry by common acclaim. You are the leader of our industry. You run the biggest single airport retail operation in the world, retailer operation in the world. And therefore your voice is one that many people look to constantly in good times. Of course, these are not good times. But as a leader, if I did ask you for a message to the travel retail industry and all its stakeholders, what would that be?
Well, of course, it would have to be stay positive, because the whole thing will rebound. We've had instances in the past where there were problems and the whole retail industry recovered from it. We've never seen or never dreamt that there would be a complete close down of the duty-free industry, or as it's now called with the modern day people, the travel trade. I still insist on calling it the duty-free industry. My message would be just to stay positive, listen to all the staff, listen to all the team, and go like the Nightingales, raise it up. Raise it up. Like in our case, we own other things, of course. And you didn't ask me this, but on the 27th of June, there is the running of the Dubai Duty Free Irish Derby. We've been doing that for many, many years. It has been done behind closed doors, as they call it. Our Shergar Cup in Ascot has been cancelled for this year, but Royal Ascot is happening this week. And I'm very delighted that in the parade ring in Royal Ascot, there is a big sign of Dubai Duty Free, because our agreements with them over the years. My message in summary, and that's too long-winded, Martin, but my message in summary is that we will get back, this will recover, Depend on your whole team, and everything will come out rosy eventually.
Well, that's a very good message, Colm. And look, we will follow that instruction, I'm sure, throughout the industry. My company does as well. We hope and believe that better times will come, and they'll come relatively soon. But more importantly, I think I should wish you much re-success. I think that's a lovely term. I think if any leader and any company is going to generate re-success in our industry, it's you and Dubai Duty Free. I wish you well for it, and thanks for spending some time with me today.
I'm happy, and congratulations on your initiative about the virtual display. I keep on reading about all the support you're getting, and I want to tell you also that Dubai Duty Free is 100% behind it, and we will be stuck in it some way or other. And the best of luck to you.
Well, thanks for that support, Colm. We look forward to meeting you virtually there, but more importantly, we look forward to meeting you face-to-face as soon as the situation will possibly allow.
Okay, Martin. Well, thank you very much, and my best wishes to everybody in the Moodie Davitt Report and to Madam Eula.
Thank you, Colm McLoughlin.
And I swear one day we're gonna put this out behind us, and come what may, we will survive. I think it's safe to say that better times are gonna find us. Hope it won't be long till this trouble is gone.